All right, welcome everybody to MogTalk episode 185. Today is October 10th, 2019. If you guys are unfamiliar with MogTalk, is a show based around the Final Fantasy XIV community discussing everything from Savage Raiding to Chocobo Racing. And today's recording is going to be offline, so if it's not the same day, that makes sense. But before we get too far into this, I want you guys to know who's on the show with us. We are doing a show based around the Final Fantasy XIV community team, and we brought two awesome people on the show. Could you guys do a quick just roll call, say who you are and how long you've been working here?
Hey, my name is Anthony Caraway. Everybody calls me Tony, or Zhexos, or Subdigar Man, or even somebody might know me as Tech Daddy in some community. But yeah, I've been on the team for 5 years now, almost 5 years.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the community managers in the team. And yep.
So before you joined the community team,
I was doing operations support team. So I was handling translation and stuff for not only for team, but different titles in Square Enix.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Matt Hilton. I'm the director of community for Final Fantasy XIV. You may know me as Bayohne, although I feel like, I haven't used that in a long time besides on stage.
Everybody still knows you as Bayohne.
That's true. But you may know me from various events like Fan Festival, E3, PAX, West, East, many of those. As for how long I've been here, community team, 2005, I think I joined. Yeah. So I was at Square before it was Square Enix. Before that in QA. I was actually working on FF11 as QA for a few years, and I moved over to the community team, I think 2005, because we just jumped into planning the first fan festival in 2006. So yeah, 2005-ish. Been here a long time, but yeah, I love it. I mean, I wouldn't be here for so long if I didn't enjoy the game and the community and everything. So yeah, thanks for having us.
Of course, yeah. I mean, if you think about that, there's probably people playing this game right now that have not been on this earth as long as you've worked there.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird to feel your age. I mean,
I guess
it's very strange.
All right, so some people aren't really familiar with the community team. They aren't aware what they do. They're familiar with maybe Yoshida-san, the developers, and so on. But you guys are not developers. Could you explain your role a little bit more to the community?
Sure. So I'll try to think of this in like the simplest way. The best way to describe the community team is probably the eyes, ears, voice for both the community itself, the players, all of our players around the world, and also for the development team. So we kind of watch and listen to the community's voice. We try to relay that information as best we can to make it as clear as possible to the dev team, the feedback, comments from players from around the world. And then at the same time, on the flip side, we take the information from the dev team and try to relay that to as wide as audience as we can, through social media, Lodestone, the developers' blogs, and things like that. That's a pretty short version of that. That's kind of like the nuts and bolts of the community team's role. But in addition to that, we also work really closely with other teams on the FF14 team. So things like marketing, PR, our support teams like the GMs and the support center. We work really closely with those teams, and also our counterparts we have in Japan and Europe, and many, many more. It's a lot of liaisoning between different departments and kind of making sure that the FF14 ship, is kind of smooth sailing as much as possible.
Okay.
We also try to kind of be the voice of the community whenever there's new, discussions or topics kind of being brought up in marketing, PR, that kind of thing, saying like, hey, this is what the community may be really interested in at the time, or hey, this may work really well if we do it this way, or we kind of spin it that way. But yeah, we always try to like offer the community's perspective, kind of have the players in their room as much as possible, as it were, kind of, giving feedback and giving our thoughts on plans. But yeah, like I said, it's a lot of coordination. It's a lot more than people probably think.
There's a lot of stuff that goes behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds not
that straightforward, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to give everyone a little bit of perspective, you might be able to relate some of your roles to the launch of Shadowbringers and kind of what you guys were involved with and doing at that time.
Yeah.
So like one thing is like, yeah, of course we promoted the game. And another thing is all the feedback that we got from the early access. That's the main thing. Like we have to gather everything in that short period of time, try to relay it back, and get that back to the players, and go back and forth. So that was a lot of things that we do.
That was a lot of coordination. I mean, yeah, like Tony said, it's reading a lot of feedback. That's a major part of it. Not just expansion launches, but of course, it's like we're super hyper focused around expansions. It's a lot busier. We're already kind of a 24/7 thing, the way that each community team kind of hits each time zone. But I feel like around expansion launches, early access timing, or, key things like, pre-orders and things going live, it's a lot of coordination of, okay, are we ready on these storefronts, and are we ready on this, avenue? Is this stuff ready? But there's a lot of stuff, players are reading for the first time. So it's a good chance for early access, patch notes and things like that is like, it's like Christmas. So it's always a lot of feedback in a very short amount of time, and then kind of trying to relay that and boil it down as much as possible for the dev team. Around Shadowbringers, we're doing similar to what we're doing constantly. It's, daily reports, weekly reports, flagging any major points of concern, even internally, not even just the dev team, but if it's like marketing or PR, if we need to be ready to, like the servers have gone down, or there's an issue with codes, or, that kind of stuff, that we're all kind of like, we have our war room kind of ready, and we're all kind of just watching as things are going and moving along and making sure things are as smooth as possible. I mean, I'll knock on wood softly here, but yeah, Shadowbringers, things were really smooth. We were kind of worried at how smooth it was going. I think even players too were like, hey, this is all really smooth and there's been no major issues. So we're all, I mean, personally, I'm just kind of always ready for anything. So it's during that Shadowbringers launch, we're all just kind of sitting there like, this is going too smoothly maybe, but I think that's a good problem to have, and hopefully
we're like, oh, can we go to sleep now? Like, it's like we don't have to worry today. Like,
yeah, it's like when you're up at for early access timing, you're like playing as a player yourself, but you're also like have your community hat on too, and it's like so far everything's okay and things are going smoothly, and you're like, should I sleep and get ready for tomorrow, or do I want to play? Because a lot of us are hardcore 14 players too.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I can't even imagine because Shadowbringers itself, the whole community, I think they were all like, where's the thing that's going to happen that's just going to set everything off? But again, yeah, like you said, very, very smooth. It has to feel good after that.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does. I know the dev team worked really hard. The operations team, server teams, they were all like, working as hard as they could to make sure everything was smooth. And, it's just a testament to how much effort everybody put in, to really make it all happen, I think.
Yeah. I definitely want to say congratulations to you guys too for such a successful launch there. So I want to go in. Some people they see you, but when they see you, you're mostly at events and you're doing things like that. Events, it's pretty interesting to see it, but I cringe when I think about how much work has to go behind it to set it up and make it happen. Can you guys give us a little bit of insight about what you do to make these events happen and how much work goes into it?
Yeah, like for most of the content that we do a lot of battle challenges. So for stuff like that, we have to plan out which battle challenge, like which trial do we want to do, what item level, is it going to be enough, not only for the existing players, but we also have to think about the new players. So we have to figure out, is this item level high enough? Do we need to do something else to it? And we got to go back and forth, test it out. Then we got to create the characters and go through all the steps on that. So yeah, we want to make sure the battle experience is good for everybody. So we keep on testing and trying different things.
Yeah, like Tony said, a lot of players are expecting, I'm item level 470, at home, and I go into this battle challenges. It's so easy, no problem. But there's also people who have never played 14 before, sitting next to you, trying to main heal like a brand new battle challenge, that kind of stuff. So it's always kind of an interesting battle of how can we tune this? How can we make this a little easier without making it too easy? That kind of stuff. But it's also fun. It's also really offers unique challenges for us to try to find the right balance, the right mix. I know it's like our own internal battle challenge of how do we make this work properly.
Yeah.
But I think one of the recent examples, like E3, we did Titania battle for Shadowbringers. So it was like the first time it was a first for many, many things. It was the first time we were showing Titania, first time we were showing Shadowbringers playable to the public, first time for the new jobs. So we had the new jobs there for the first time. We also had the battle adjustments and then like the battle changes for all existing jobs. So even existing players, were playing differently than they were normally. So the E3 battle challenge for Titania was quite.
It was interesting.
Interesting is a good term for it. It was definitely a challenge.
A lot of people had to be trying to get to it, so not just for the T-shirt at that time, which of course is the main reason most people do it. But at that moment, is I want to get as much information as I can, and of course they're going to try to get in there to play.
That's exactly what we were seeing, because we were a week or two out from early access at that point, so people were just wanting to see any updates they could from the media tour build and what changes are there, and people were taking screenshots of battle actions and things. It was so funny to see, but people get so excited, and it's awesome to see like how passionate people are, and go there with a clear goal in mind, not just to win, but also to check out all the changes that they can see.
And for example, like Titania one, like at E3 we couldn't do any videos, but on PAX West we created a video guide to try and help, hey, make sure you kill this first, the ads. So we have stuff like that in there too.
We try to create guides to help the newer players as much as possible. For E3, it's like, hey, this content isn't even out yet, so maybe we shouldn't make a battle challenge guide for it already. So that was even another level of challenge for our poor E3 attendees at the time. But they had a great time. It was super fun. And as always, like whenever there's a win, we can hear, like Yoshida is usually, we have like a second level to our booth, and Yoshida's in the back doing interviews, like this own little makeshift rooms that they create for E3, which look really cool. But every time that there was a triumph, you could instantly tell, even inside those closed off rooms, that people were winning. And it was so awesome to hear during the interviews and stuff. So it was really fun.
Yeah, he actually, I think I've seen pictures of him going up and doing the challenge himself with players too.
Sometimes he inserts himself into the challenge, and we all kind of have to watch and see if he wins or not. I think it's always fun to see if he gets knocked off of platforms or that kind of stuff. Players love seeing that too, and they have a great time.
Yeah. Okay, so besides E3, the one thing you guys are really known for event-wise is, of course, FanFest, and it's a pretty impressive feat to see that actually, I guess, go through and you guys are still alive at the end of it. So can you guys just tell us a little bit about how you make that happen? Because I always have an absolute blast, and from my own experience, I've seen some of the work you put into it, and it's really, really impressive. So how do you make it actually happen?
Sure.
So there's a lot of planning going on. So we discuss with the team what kind of content do we want to do, but we don't want to do anything that's already in the game. Like that's flat out boring. Like everybody already plays it every single day. Why go to FanFest and do the same thing? So we have to switch it up. So we come up with things like the roulette, where we're like, hey, you got to switch your position with the person next to you. And they're like, what? That's like not going to happen. And we know it's going to be really tough. But we're like, just for fun, let's try it out, see how players react. And they liked it. And some of them had a hard time, but overall, everybody liked things like that. And other than that, we had like PvP. People wanted, we're like, let's do PvP. But we're like, how can we do that more interesting? So we're like, how about using fighting sticks? And we're like, how are we going to put fighting sticks? How are we going to limit the actions? So there was stuff like that. I actually have some stuff.
He's got props.
Okay. I was not expecting this.
Yeah. So we made sticks like this, the fighting sticks, and we had PvP. So that was really cool.
Yep.
People really liked it.
I want to interject here because Tony had this idea for these PvP fighting sticks. He brought it up to me. But he didn't bring it up to me until he had like a working prototype himself. Like he actually created something at home on his own time, like using like different USB like buttons and all this stuff. Like it looked like a real like fighting style. And it was, at first I was like, what do you want to do? Like, what is this idea? And I was like, all right, do you think it's going to work? Let's propose it. Let's discuss it with the team in Japan. And they were all on board.
Yeah, it turned out good.
Yeah, it turned out really fun. That was probably one of the most fun things at FanFest is just, having a chance to really think outside the box, as corny as it sounds to say think outside the box. But, that's kind of the most fun part of FanFest is what can we do that's, taking something from in-game and then giving it a kind of a fun spin. And then that's where the creativity really gets to shine from all the different teams.
Then we get the usual, things like this, where we did the glasses. It was 2014, right?
Was it 2016?
2016.
Okay. All of our FanFests, they all blur together.
Yeah. So we had that where you had to put on the glasses and walk around, figure out some puzzles that was on the walls.
I remember.
Behind panels.
Yeah.
So people had great fun with that. So coming up with all those kind of stuff was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool to see that. And I mean, that's part of your job is to how do we make this FanFest different and interesting for people coming. And I gotta ask about the sticks. I mean, do you just have a handful of those that you just keep in the office and they're just in a corner now and you just
how many do we have left? We had a few signed that we used for giveaways for Fan Festival itself. I think we had some in the the Cactpot?
Yeah. It was something else. No, it was once they played the PvP, they were able to
drawing. So we gave away like a number of them. For that, they were assigned by Yoshida-san and the dev team that was there with us. So we gave those away, and then we brought back the remainder back in our office. And for a while, we were actually using them in our game area. Yeah. We had in the office where like people have different games that they play like during lunch and during break times and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think we still have a few of them. They're very coveted items, so we haven't just left them in the basement or anything like that. Yeah. They are Tony's other kids that he has worked very hard on to get. So we love them so much.
I'm going to be honest. I thought maybe an idea from Tony would have been like, hey, you spin the wheel and one of the choices would be you all have to wear subligars, right? And that's the challenge. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking fight sticks.
I think
I did something like that. I had this guy,
of course,
which was Fashion Report, and we had one where it said Zhexos made me put it here, and you have to figure out what you got to pull from this side to this side.
Jeez,
and if you look carefully,
there's
a whole bunch.
I like the green screen.
Yeah, the
green screen effect right there.
It's a whole bunch of subligars. So Tony finds any way he can to include subligars
somehow
in any job that he does or any task that he works on.
Sneakingly.
Yeah, really, really subtle, as you can see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, going back to this Fan Festival in general, I mean, how it gets made is just it sounds boring, but it's lots of meetings. Think of the most meetings you could ever think of, and then like double that amount. That's how many meetings we're doing for Fan Festival. Kidding aside, it's just a gargantuan amount of effort from all the different teams around the world. It's not just okay, North America, you guys do your Fan Festival. SCE, Europe, you guys do your Fan Festival, and Japan will do ours. It's a lot of, hey, let's brainstorm. Let's meet up. Let's think about what kind of fun stuff we want to do, what we want to showcase. Mm-hmm. What would be cool for the community to see, what kind of, just meetings and meetings and meetings. And it does still allow you to really be creative. I mean, Tony has shown, like doing that kind of fun stuff and making fun things. I think like the Kugane Tower jump was a big hit too from the North America, the recent Fan Festival.
Right.
Like people, it's just such a simple thing. Like, hey, you have this much time. How high up on the tower can you get? And we created like special prizes for people. If people were able to not only in the time limit, get to the top, but they also had to jump down from the top of the tower onto the
sightseeing
lamppost.
The sightseeing log.
Yeah. So we were like, okay, we'll give away like X number of prizes per day. It's probably going to take like all day. Maybe some people will get lucky, but no, I went back there and checked, and like few hours into the event and already like 15 people had already done it. And I was like so amazed that people completed that Kugane jump really, really fast. Never underestimate the community and what they are capable of doing. It's awesome.
Yeah. And within the time frame, like they have to put a sticker on where they landed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if they didn't complete, they still put a mark on this big Kugane tower that we had right next to the booth. So that was interesting to see how many people got to that spot.
Yeah.
So those were interesting.
It was really neat. Yeah, I mean, and then we had like, again, like the Kugane I hope all the green goes
up.
through. That'd be
It
awesome.
goes through pretty well. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
But yeah, like even creating like the fun giveaway items and goodie bag stuff is really cool. It's the best part. I think the best part of the show is just that once it's not even you would think it's when it's done and you can relax, but no, it's more like when the show is actually happening, and we find some time during the show to kind of just walk around and see players experiencing all the stuff that we worked on for so long, so hard with other teams. That's like the best part, getting a chance to talk with the players who are there, talk with the attendees, and then just kind of get feedback from them and hear about if they're having a good time and what they're having fun with. Like that's like the coolest thing to me. I mean, it's definitely a lot of hard work, and it can be stressful leading up to it. But honestly, it really pays off when you're there and you get to see everybody enjoying it. I think my dream is to one day be able to go to a fan fest myself and then like just experience it. The closest I think we've been is when we go to like the Tokyo or the Japan events, because we're kind of covering it for like the streams and things like that. But there is some downtime, so we get to kind of walk around and explore and kind of see it from a player's perspective, which I think
I got to explore. You got to sign everybody's. They were like, "Oh, Mato!"
That was
and
a
they started running.
that was a very funny experience.
Wait, you had to sign a lot of autographs?
So in Japan, the Japan one, they had like kind of like photo ops. It was kind of more just like backdrops, and then they would kind of plant the dev teams there, here, and there throughout the day, just kind of randomly, so people have a chance to try to get a chance to talk to them if they weren't on stage. And we were exploring at one point, and there's one of those photo backdrop areas, and I was just kind of walking by, and someone asked me to sign something, and I think they recognized me from like the North American stream, and I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." So I signed it, and then another person came up, and so I just signed again. And then another person, and I kept signing. And then Tony was like, "Hey, there's a long line." And I looked up, and there was like 50 people lined up then. And I was like, "Oh no." I was
so I was like, "I'm going to go to the back. I'll be the line capper while you sign it. And we'll try to finish this so we can walk out."
I was like, if Yoshida sees me, is he going to get, it's like, "Man, what are you doing?" It was so funny. I was just like, taking pictures. It was awesome though. It was like I said, like that's just another chance to kind of meet and talk to the players. Like even with like the language barrier in Japanese, I had one of our PR guys with us, Adam, and he speaks Japanese. So he was helping me communicate too. My Japanese isn't as high level as Tony and Adam's, but it was really cool. I mean, that's like the best experience for us, is just getting to see people having fun and enjoying the show. And it can be hard to find time during the show when you're on stage, or, Tony, who's running around all the different areas, making sure everything's fine. But I think I always try to really encourage the team to spend time if they can, when they have a free chance, to kind of just absorb it and kind of talk to players and get a chance to really see all the fruits of their labor. I mean, it's a labor of love, but we really enjoy it. So.
And it's really great to get recognized sometimes. Like I'm just walking there, like, "Hey, Tony or Zhexos," and I'm like, "Oh, wow, nice." And it was crazy just to see that. Like,
yeah. And I think you'll be more famous in the future because of other things you've done.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit. But sure. I mean, with FanFest, I've been to each one, at least in North America, to 2014, F16 and 18. And when I went to the 14, I wasn't in the community at all. Absolutely. Well, it was just me and my wife playing the game at that time. Not wife, but still, we got to experience it. And I got to say, like, it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. I've never really been to a con before, but I went there, and then everybody was talking about the game. Everybody knew everything that I had to say about Final Fantasy 14 all in one spot. And it felt like even if you just did a room with nothing else but a banner that said Final Fantasy 14 and just tables for people to sit around and talk, it would have been great. But you guys still went way more than I can even imagine. Especially that first concert with the Primals, knocked it out. But,
and I mean, I agree. I totally understand what you're saying. I think part of what we do is, like, the best part about Fan Festival is just creating a central location for everyone to meet up. There's people who who come to the show and they're meeting their free company friends or link shell friends that they've been playing with for years and years and years. But now it's like Fan Festival is like the beacon of, hey, we can meet up now. Let's hang out. And they just have a great time over the weekend. Mm-hmm. So it's like, how much should we plan? Like, how much should we plan to do if we just want people to also have a chance to kind of hang out with each other? You know, it's like we're kind of like the aetheryte crystal. You know, people come, they teleport to it, and then they have fun themselves. That's always the really cool part is seeing friends. I mean, I've met people myself. That's like we've been playing together since the launch of the game, and we always talk every day, on different chat programs and all that stuff. And then they're like, this is the first time we're hanging out, and it's so awesome. Thanks for FanFest. And we're like, oh, thank you for coming. It's always an awesome experience. And just like you said, everybody's really welcoming. That's kind of the coolest part, I think, too, is like everyone's really open. Like you mentioned, you weren't really in the community, you're just playing the game. But I'm sure you found people who were like, hey, come sit with us, or let's do this live quest together, or let's do this. That's always really fun. Everybody's really kind of there to have a good time. So it's awesome.
Yeah. And again, congratulations and really good job on all the FanFests, especially this most recent one, which went off again. Shadowbringers very smooth overall. These have to take a very, very long time to plan. I assume they take years. I'm going to say years. So does that mean that you guys are currently working on the next FanFest?
Are we?
Are you?
Are you? You're my boss.
So I think we're always thinking about upcoming events, upcoming shows, whether it's like PAX or E3 or Fan Festival. What we often find ourselves doing is using the time in between those events, all those events that I mentioned, to kind of really be creative and brainstorm. Like I said, that's kind of the fun part. So when there is some quote unquote downtime, I don't know that downtime exists, as most people would think it does. But when there is some downtime, I think that's when we can really be creative. And, we're always thinking about what's next, and we're always thinking about what can we do in the future for any type of event that we're going to be hosting,
Okay. All right. But what can you tell us about it? What's going on with this next FanFest? You got to have something.
What was the next question? That's
okay.
Question.
All right. That's fine. Let's go into. I'll prod you guys later for some more.
Okay. Offline. No, I'm just
kidding. Let's talk about outside of events. I mean, this is what people see you doing, but you go into work every single day to day. There has to be something else that you're focusing on besides events. Can you tell us a little bit about what your day-to-day work life is?
Yeah, like we mentioned earlier, like we do check the forums, social medias, Reddit, and other communities' websites, and we collect the feedbacks, translate those. And like for me, I translate those with my coworkers, and I also come up with like campaigns, like screenshot campaigns, writing campaigns, contests, and we design also like future promotions, like what can we do to try and promote the next patch or expansion, things like that.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it always goes back to, I think I'm using all these different phrases like think outside the box and wear a lot of hats, but it's really true. We really wear a lot of different hats. So it's, day to day in the life of a community team member, it can be really different. Sometimes it's very planned out, like, hey, we have a schedule, we know what's coming, which is really cool because we can really, work towards schedules and things like that, make sure we're hitting our goals and make sure things are moving smoothly. That's kind of like what I'm doing on the team, is overseeing everybody. But community team, you never know. Every day is a unique day. You don't know what's happened. And so it's also very reactionary. So it's, what's happening? What do we need to adjust? What do we need to feed back to SEJ, our Japan offices? What do we need to confirm with other teams? But yeah, I think that's one of my main roles is I work with the other teams a lot. It's a lot of coordinating between marketing, PR. 14 team is a very all-encompassing project. Final Fantasy 14 has a large part of our office, is working on this together, and I think that's part of what I'm working on the most is really kind of making sure that things are going smoothly and we're hitting our goals and we're planning for the things that are on the horizon that we know about, or trying to adjust to things that we don't know about or things that happen, all of a sudden. That's kind of like the day-to-day. I know it sounds kind of like a cop-out to say, but it's really broad. It's very much, the first thing we kind of do is look at the community, what's happened overnight while we were asleep. Is there anything that we need to check out? And it's all just about kind of proceeding as we do, kind of finding unique, fun things to do, reporting on things. There's a lot of reporting. And then again, working on, PR, marketing plans, community tasks. We are launching stuff all the time. So it's like, okay, we got to coordinate this. We got to work with our counterparts here. It's a lot of different hats, and we're always thinking outside the box. So
I mean, you have to be very fluid, I would imagine, and just roll with the punches as they come in, because something could happen one day that you have to spend the whole next week addressing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there could be times. I mean, not even just people probably think negative things, but not even just negative things like that. Sometimes really cool things happen in the community, and we're like, hey, how can we amplify this, or how can we pass this along to the teams so they're aware. A lot of times people are really creative and they have really unique things that they create themselves, and we like to share that with the dev team. It's really just kind of seeing how the day is going. You check your emails, you get a quick recap of what happened while you were asleep. Because like I mentioned earlier, each of the different community teams is kind of really unique because we all kind of hit all the time zones. We really, it's like almost like a baton getting handed off between each of the 3 regions. So it really works out really well. Like when we come in the mornings, our European counterparts, they're usually ending their day a little bit after we come in. So we have a chance to kind of get any, digest or any downloads from them. And then, at the end of our day, that's when SEJ, our Japan office counterparts, are coming in too. So we have a chance to kind of speak with them and give them any updates that we need to, or have meetings. So it's really cool. And then it kind of continues throughout each of our regions. So it's really useful. FF14 is a very global game. So we always are thinking globally. So it's a super positive thing. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's being very fluid. It's that's why I always thought it was hard to answer, like, what do you do in the community team? Like
everything,
a lot of things. What do you need to do that day? That's the question that often comes up. So but it's fun. That's what makes it really interesting, I think.
Yeah, no, I'd have to imagine. And of course, there are, like you said, multiple community teams out there, and you are just part of the North American team. And I've had the pleasure of meeting the EU team and working with Clem a bit and the guys over there. And it's pretty awesome to see everybody having their own little part and having these shifts where you come in and you're like, okay, write the emails for the next team, and the next person read the emails, go through their day, right? Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's nice. It's very smooth. Most days it's very smooth. And then if anything happens, if anything comes up, anything major, we are all able to kind of like tackle it together, which is really nice. That's kind of like the best part, I think.
Okay. So you kind of see it as one big global community team sometimes when you're looking at it. Okay.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I kind of touched on it earlier, and that I was kind of, talking about FanFest, but honestly, I mean, FF14 is a global title. Anytime anything happens in other regions, our players here are keenly aware, and it's the same for Europe and Japan too. It's everyone plays together in the same servers. They're on the same worlds and data centers. So we're always thinking about how would this idea work for North America region, but how's it also going to work for Japan, and how can we adjust it, or what tweaks can we make to make it better? And then you think of things in a different way, because we have so many people who are focused and understand their communities, that it really helps to make the game better, because we're not just targeting or talking to one group of people. Whenever we do anything, it's trying to be as global as possible. And I think that's something we've been doing since the start. So I mean, it's a challenge at times, trying to coordinate everything, but I think in the end it works out for the better.
And go off that just a little bit, working with the community for a couple of years that I have as well, a few years. I have noticed that global atmosphere as well, because I'll talk to someone like a local friend here, and I'll be like, "Yeah, he lives in Australia," and they're like, Why are you talking to someone in Australia?" Or same thing with Japan, or countries, European countries, or so on. And it's crazy because I feel a lot more globalized by being a part of the community for Final Fantasy 14.
I think that's one of the coolest parts about 14 is I think I had one friend of mine who his free company was people from like every different continent, and they would still come together to like do raids and stuff. Like, it's you never know who you're going to meet, and that's the coolest part. It's a very global experience, and I don't know, personally, you learn a lot about other cultures just by talking with these people, talking with them, and getting to know them. And it's kind of one of the really unique and cool parts of online games in general, and FF14 specifically.
Yeah. All right, so let's go a little bit more back to your office here.
Sure.
I've seen your office before. I've had the pleasure with the FRC. Yeah, your office is very colorful, very colorful.
Yeah.
But some people might imagine you guys have posters, Square Enix posters everywhere, or they might be really imaginative and think you have like Moogles flying around or something outrageous. If somebody wants to know what your office looks like, could you give them a sort of a detailed explanation of what that is?
We actually do have Moogles like on wire tracks, and we put letters on it and we push it down. No, I'm just kidding. We don't have.
That's how we do it. Intercompany. We don't do emails. We handwrite everything. And we put it in the pouch of the Moogle, and it's like the shoot system. Like it shoots in. And
have pipes going around. Yeah. But it says a Moogle.
That would be awesome, but also very ineffective. It would take a lot more time to get things done.
That sounds like a Moogle.
Yeah, moving your hands.
Yeah.
But there's some rooms, that's decked out with like play arts, figures and stuff too. Like I always go inside the conference room and I'm looking at what's new inside there, and it's pretty cool. Yeah,
they do a lot of showcasing a lot of the new figures and a lot of the new goods and things, because the merch team, they're bringing in new stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of cool to see it just start appearing around the offices. We have a lot of different showcase display areas, especially in meeting rooms, which is can be distracting sometimes because you're like, oh, is that a new figure? And you're like trying to talk to the team in Japan, and you're like, oh, it's so cool. But no, I mean, we have tons of stuff like that around the office. We actually recently renovated the office, so our 2 floors got kind of completely redone. And they took that to heart, and they added a lot of new artwork all around the office. I think they finally finished recently. We have really cool framed artwork throughout from throughout the Final Fantasy series. So not just 14, but all over we have really cool artwork from like the first titles, the earliest titles, the PlayStation titles. And it's kind of cool because it looks like there's like concept art and like full finished pieces next to like, designs for characters. So it's really cool. Sometimes I was actually late to a meeting once because when they just finished putting it up, I was like, I literally walked around all the offices looking at everything and like noting where everything was. And I was like, oh man, I wish we had this near our office. That'd be so cool. But I was actually like late because I got kind of caught up in checking out all the new artwork. Mm-hmm. But our offices are really open now. It's really kind of an open floor plan. We have a lot of little spaces that we can kind of meet up and kind of chat quickly, so we don't have to like worry about meeting rooms. Sometimes we have little little cubbies and like little sofas and things that we can kind of just hop on and kind of chat about something if we need to. That way we don't have to worry too much about trying to book a meeting room, because it can be a little difficult sometimes to get a meeting room here. But speaking of meeting rooms, we actually have all of our meeting rooms are actually named after various game-related terms, so Square Enix games. So actually the community team room
is Phantom
Train. Yeah. We have Phantom
really?
Train is right next to us that we use mostly for our community meetings and things like that. QA, which is right over here behind me, they have the Gold Saucer as their meeting room. So it's really cool. I mean, we all kind of take really a lot of pride in, the legacy of all of these games that we work on, and kind of really make sure that it's spread around. There's a few places upstairs. I don't know if we ever posted it. Maybe we didn't. But when we launched Shadowbringers, we kind of had a Shadowbringers takeover of the main open space, and we have it's Mogi's art, right?
Yeah.
The Crystal Tower Shadowbringers art, where all the characters are standing in front of the Crystal Tower.
Right.
So that's like, we have like a giant tapestry of that in our communal like lunch, cafeteria kind of eating area or break area. And it's so cool because it's just like, it shows how much, everybody here loves 14, that we have like this huge banner that's kind of like showcasing. And like right now we have all I don't know if we ever posted this stuff. Maybe we should find a way to post it.
Absolutely.
When you
just
walk
take
out
the
the
webcam.
elevator,
Take the webcam with you.
Just walk through the confidential information. Just like zoom in on people's screens.
Just press the floor level, open the door, and just close to see what's when you open.
But maybe we could do something on Duty Commence or something where we can kind of showcase some of the 14 stuff that's around. But like Tony was mentioning, when you come out of the elevators, we have hanging banners for different titles at different times of the year. But right now it's all 14 stuff, so it's all like the really cool renders of all the characters. So you're kind of greeted by 14 art, and you step off the elevator. So it's really neat. I mean, and of course, everybody always decorates their own area with their own fun stuff. So
I remember seeing that.
Yeah. So it's like, Tony's got subligars all over his area.
Just hanging.
Just
subligar on top of fat chocobos.
Yeah.
As long as they're all clean, it's okay, right?
Yeah, it's clean.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
But I mean, it's really cool. I mean, everybody has the chance to be really unique. So they bring in plushes, and people have mountains of plushes on their desks. And whenever like a new stuff comes in, we usually have it, get it ourselves, and we kind of display it prominently. We have like all the collector's edition figures lined up in our offices, and it's really fun. Everybody has a chance to make it their own, but it's oftentimes you see a lot of really cool 14 stuff at people's desks, so that's awesome.
And I mean, that matters a lot when you come into work, when you start to you can absorb all the different artwork, and it just makes the atmosphere that much better.
It does, because you get to see like, this is what we're working on. This is the stuff we're, not only passionate about, but, players are passionate about too.
Right. And I mean, it's not all just 14 stuff, right? There is some sprinkled around, so you can kind of, you're not going to get blasted and burned out from just seeing 14 stuff over and over. No, although you couldn't. No one could get blasted and burned out on that, right? But
no, I mean, there's like I said, there's artwork from all the different Final Fantasy games. Yeah. We also have like the giant Lara Croft Tomb Raider statue. Yeah. She's up on the 3rd floor right now. Yep. And that's really cool. They have I'm trying to think about other stuff. There's this one pillow we have on our couch, and it's not meant to be like an FF14 thing, but it's just a regular pillow. Like they probably got it, I don't know, pillow store. What Target? Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Pillow store. But it looks like a fat cat. Like it has like the colors. Like I saw it the other day, and I was walking by, and maybe it's just because I play 14 a lot, and I was thinking about 14, but when I immediately I'll have to show it to you. I don't know if
I didn't see that one.
And I immediately stopped, and I was like, I think this looks like a fat cat. So it's like, it's just really cool stuff. And right now we're decorating for Halloween, getting ready for All Saints Wake, I should say. Sorry, All Saints Wake to be on brand.
Right.
So right now everybody's getting very festive and getting ready for that. So it's really fun.
You should take pictures of that and show it off as well.
We'll see. We'll see what we can do.
All right.
No promises.
Okay, so besides working, and you eventually go home, right? You don't stay there the entire day. Most days you're not there for 24 hours, I would assume.
Most days, yeah.
Most days.
So when you go home, though, you play Final Fantasy XIV yourself as well. How does working at Square Enix really affect your game life? Do you have to make secret alts so you don't get disturbed by other players that might be maybe pestering you a little bit for information or various things? Or do you just say, whatever, I'm just going to go and everyone knows who I am, and I don't care, I'll deal with it?
For me, it's been normal. I just play my regular character I've been playing all this time, and nobody's been like jumping in and saying, hey, Tony, can you give me secret information of the next patch and stuff? I'm like, nah, they already know that I can't say it. So they respect that, and they're just playing a game with me together. So nothing has really changed on my end.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I think we try to work really hard to keep personal game life versus our work life separate. Like Tony said, you were in the community as a player for many years before he joined the team. So it's, people know who he is in general, but I think, a lot of us, we just kind of try to keep it separate, not for any negative reason. It's more just like, hey, like you said, we finish work, we come home, and it's like, all right, time to raid, or all right, time to cap my tomes, or but I think when you're at home for fun, it's very different from when you're at home or at the office working, and you just want to kind of unwind and relax without having to worry about being oh, I'm on the community team, or I'm on the 14 team, so in general, we keep it pretty separate as much as we can. And I think so far we've had no major issues, which has been really nice. I think, we don't have characters that are top secret. I know Yoshida, they have their own personal characters that they don't tell players. So it's important. Everybody kind of, they want to go home and play the game that we work on. And it's like, we just want to enjoy the game just like you guys.
Yeah. And I have to appreciate that. And I'm glad the community has been so kind to you. Because I know there are people out there that might try to take advantage of that or something, but that's pretty awesome to hear. It's not like that. I mean, how are you enjoying the game as a player? I guess that would be a good question.
I've been
playing since 1.0.
Yeah, 1.0 alpha, beta. I forget.
So I mean, I still go home and I still cap tomes every week. I'm having a great time right now. One of the things I'm working on is trying to get all jobs to 80.
Okay.
I really want to get everything to 80. And the cool thing about that is not only just like it's an achievement of, I've got everything to 80. It really lets you kind of learn how other jobs play. I mean, obviously you're leveling these other jobs, but, typically before I was like always a healer or a tank. But now that I'm working on all my DPS classes, I'm like, wow, these are super fun. I'm having a lot of fun with Black Mage specifically. Like, I'm like, this might be my new main. Like, I didn't know like this whole time how fun it was, and that's kind of the cool thing that I'm kind of experiencing now, where it's not like, oh, I've capped, I'm good. It's more like, what am I going to do next? I'm kind of experiencing these new jobs that I didn't really play before for the first time. So and it also really helps too, just for our work, knowing all these different things too. It's awesome. It's like a nice supplement to what we're doing already, which is really cool. Yeah, I mean, we've been playing for so long. I'm still having a great time. I honestly go home and I do roulettes with my friends, and I work on some of my achievements I want to work on. And I'm honestly, it's really cool. It's really fun just to go home and have fun, and I'm really enjoying the game right now.
I'm currently tackling the Savage. I got a group of buddies that's been playing the game with me since like 11 days. So now we're not like the back in the days where we were all like single, where we can play 24 hours. We all have kids and stuff. So we're like, okay, we'll spend 2 hours every weekend, and we're trying to do it. We're still on the second floor, but our rule is we don't watch any guides. Like, although I watch all the guides because I have to for the community work, but we try not to watch any guides. Try it fresh and try to figure out ourselves, and that's really fun.
Yeah. Just playing the game and enjoying it after you go home from work, I think is a really cool blessing. I think for us, I think there's probably people out there who their day job is completely separate from their nightlife, but for us, it's a lot of blurred lines, but it's fun. We've been having fun for a long time, and hope it keeps up. Okay.
All right. So after you're done with that, of course, you go to sleep, and then you wake up and you go to work. What makes a lot of people have to figure this out? What makes you wake up and say, all right, I'm going to work. I'm getting out of bed because there's this nice coffee that only my job has. There's this poster that I wake up, I look at it, I get inspiration from it. Or maybe you're just excited to read forum posts. I don't know what it could be. What brings you into work every day?
For me, it's really, really weird. Like, I got into the company, like, it's not only my effort. Like, a lot of the community people helped me during 1.0 days. When I was doing fan translations on the forums. And thanks to them, I really feel that I got in this position right now. So every time I pass by the Square Enix sign, I'm always like, thank you for letting me, get the job. I'm like, it's like a prayer for me. I go by the company logo. I'm like thanking the community before I go in. I start my work fresh. And if it's at events, I always go down like the elevators. And when we go by the booths, I'm like, hey, I do the same thing where I'm like, hey, thanks everybody. Like, I'm here because of you guys. I'm gonna try my best.
Okay, that's awesome.
Geez, I don't
Follow it up, Matt.
follow that one up. Yeah, I mean, I kind of touched on this earlier, but I think that one of the most unique aspects or interesting aspects of being on the community team is just how different it is from day to day. You never really know what you're walking into each day, so each day is kind of something different. I think especially, I've been here 14 or something years on the community team, and it's not just going through the motions and doing the same thing over and over again. It's not really stale. It's always something unique and always something challenging. So I think that's what kind of keeps me going and is really exciting. And then also, as I kind of mentioned before, is just reading players' excitement and reactions to things that happen. Like, fan festival is one example. Like, when we're announcing Shadowbringers and we have the trailer go live and the title logo appears, and just being backstage and hearing that stuff, or seeing people online on the forums or on social media, just like going crazy over the latest reveals, or, the trailers that we post or things like that, or screenshots. It's like, that's like the coolest thing. It's like, you really get to feel, it's very refreshing. I kind of talked about this, internally. I think that this kind of stuff really charges your batteries. It really, not only just us, but for the dev team themselves, I think, hearing feedback and getting feedback from the community really encourages them, really encourages all of us to really work hard and do our best to make something fun that elicits those reactions. That's what we're all here for, is for our players. So I know it may sound cheesy. It's like, oh, we're here for the players, but it's true. I mean, that's why a lot of what we try to do the most on the team is we really try to bring those voices of excitement to the dev team, because the dev team, they're in the offices in Japan and they're staring at their screen, they're working on something, and they're trying their best to create something fun for everyone. And they may not hear all these exciting things that players are reacting to it unless we're working hard to get them that feedback, or get them all that excitement to them. So I think things like fan fests, or even panels like PAX and things like that, that's when the dev team really gets to see how exciting, how much the players are enjoying the content that they're making. So I think that's the best part. It's just being able to see that passion and the players enjoying something that you've worked on is amazing. I think that's what gets me out of bed in the morning, I guess, is to use your phrase.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, so if I was going to sum it up, Tony, for you, it'd be more kind of going in and working for a company that you love. You definitely passionately love Square Enix, and seeing that and remembering you have the opportunity to work there. And then for you, Matt, it's more of, I mean, you guys probably share some of the same opinions on that too, but to that point, kind of seeing the positive reinforcement the community can kind of give you from the reactions. So, okay, that's awesome. So you guys also handle the Twitter account for Final Fantasy XIV. I mean, I believe the multiple community members kind of work on it, but there has been an uprise of very meme-ish kind of posts that I think some people have noticed. Who's responsible for those?
It's not me. I'm too old. I only can come up with really, really old references, and every time I say something, they're like, "Nope, Tony next." I'm like, just be quiet.
I don't think it's that rude. I think it's just saying thank you for your suggestion, Tony. Maybe we won't use it today. No. But no, I think everyone on the team, I mean, we all read social media all the time. It's definitely a creative process. Everyone is really, like Tony said, we kind of throw ideas out there. We see what works, what makes us laugh, or what we think will be really fun, and we kind of just brainstorm together. It's there's no like, okay, your job is only to find the freshest, most amazing memes. It's like it's not really how it works. It's just kind of us like, hey, we have this coming up. What are some fun things we can do, or what are some cool things that we haven't done yet, or things like that. I know we wanted to ask you, which did you vote for when we had the multiple choice? Did you go for Lahi, Scree, or Lolly Ho? Which one did you go for?
It was definitely the Lahi.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's the best one because it's one of those things where you don't understand it. Like when you're going through Shadowbringers, it doesn't really make sense. They're like, what? Lahi, Lahi. I think I understood that was
Sure.
where it was.
Yep.
But as soon as you get into the zone, you're like, oh, I get it.
You immediately know. Yeah.
That was such. I hope Soken brings that to the next concert.
I think people would love that if he did. I know that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Like, you never know what's going to be happening that day or what's going to be big, right? I don't think Soken and the team or the dev team knew that Lahi was going to be like one of the biggest things, but it just has a mind of its own, you know, and that's kind of the cool, fun part is how do we take what the players are having fun with or, you know, loving, and how do we make it, you know, fun on our social media. That's always a really fun thing. It's brainstorming together and kind of thinking about what works the best is always fun. But I will say that on the subject of, like, you know, memes and funny titles and things, naming the dev blog is probably one of the hardest parts of our job and most stressful. We kind of inherited this whole thing from years and years ago. It's like, well, somebody started naming them like really funny and quirky titles, or, you know, like, you know, making them really stand out, not just like announcing All Saints Wake, you know, announcing this event, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's like sometimes we'll have a blog done and we're just like, okay, we need a title. Like, anybody have any ideas? But that's also a really fun kind of way to be creative. And like I said, it's really all about brainstorming together. We're like, does anybody have any good ideas for this kind of thing? And then we'll kind of bounce stuff around. And Tony will give us some old, outdated reference, and no one will understand. Yeah. Just kidding.
That's true.
Well, yeah, I remember the Noctis Car one very clearly. I think a lot of people remember that, and it bled into the post, and it was pretty well done.
It's so fun because it's not even just the content; it's also people enjoying just like the titles and things, and seeing people reacting to that is always fun for us too.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to kind of direct a question to each of you here.
Sure.
And Matt, I'll start with you if that's okay.
Okay, I'll take a sip of water while you.
Okay, fair. All right. From the smart. Oh, well, sorry. No branding here.
That's fine. Not sponsored.
Yeah, not sponsored. Maybe I should. Anyways. You lead the team, so that you've been doing that for quite a while. I'm assuming you've had some unique challenges that you've had to face running in that role for Square Enix. What are some of those challenges, and do you have any kind of stories you might be able to share?
Challenges. I'd say mainly one of the biggest challenges we run into is just kind of finding enough time in the day to do some of the things we want to do. It can be tough sometimes where, you know, we have our normal, our normal schedule of what we need to accomplish. We have, you know, certain assignments that we do each day, each week. But at the same time, you know, we want to brainstorm more. We want to have more contests. We want to have more social media memes. We want to have more blogs and things like that. It's just trying to make all that fit into a workday. Sometimes this is probably one of the most challenging parts of our job. The past few months have been really great though, because we've added new team members. So we're really beefed up now. It really helps us to have more manpower on the team to really tackle those things and spend more time thinking long-term about XYZ. It really helps us to get things done quickly and efficiently. So those have been kind of challenges. It frees us up to really branch out of our normal workday, our normal workflow, and, you know, things that we have to do and get done by, you know, certain, you know, next day for Japan or EU or Europe needs something. And it really lets us to kind of let our minds wander and to think of new ideas, new initiatives, and things like that. So I'm really happy about that. That's probably our biggest challenge now, but we're slowly starting to get to a really good place on that front. I don't know if I have any good stories around it. Just everybody, I don't know. I think sometimes it can be hard to see how much hard work goes into things. I think that's why we try to kind of get all the feedback to the dev team as much as we can. I think that's something that we take really seriously, because I think it does really help them to see all the things that players are saying and get their ideas, and not just be, you know, in the dark about, you know, how players are reacting. So we take it pretty seriously. But yeah, I mean, the challenges are slowly being overcome, and I think that's really cool. I think that I'm really excited, you know, especially now. It's like we're on good footing, and we want to just keep building and building on top of it. So that's what we're working on now.
Yeah, so good luck with that, because you have the bar has been raised, absolutely.
Thanks. Cool.
Sorry. But I'll ask a question here to Tony. Tony,
right.
You've kind of taken up this whole mantle of doing translations and kind of working with the stream, and have been known to be featured. You're like a meme celebrity in a way right now for dealing with technical issues, at least on a recent stream. This seems like a pretty kind of high-pressured job. Can you tell us what this whole experience has been like for you recently?
I knew you were going to bring this one up. Oh my God. So yeah, that's where all that tech daddy thing came from.
Yeah.
And at first I was like really sulked, and right now I'm okay. I'm totally fine. First and foremost, like I want to apologize to everybody again for what happened for that time and the technical difficulties we had for that important stream. It was very, very important. To me, it was important too. So I was like, yeah. But since then, like we always work out different things. We come up with plans like how to fix, like we know that problem happens. So we try to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Mm-hmm.
So things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just about, sorry to interrupt Tony's answer. It's like, you know, it's always about learning and, you know, making it better for the future and trying to adjust and, you know, kind of keep things going. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the community was super nice to Tony.
Yeah, they were nice.
He's so popular now.
Yeah. No.
At first, I was like, "Oh my God!" I became a meme, and my buddies were like, "Tony." They're sending me messages while I'm doing the stream. I'm like, "Please stop, please stop." And I was like, but after everything finished, I'm like, "Yeah, that was good times."
Yeah, I can imagine in the moment things are going wrong, and you're like, "Don't stop! I don't need to be reminded. No, I want this to go away." But then afterwards, everything's, you know, back to normal and working, and everyone goes on with their life. And now you have this funny meme template that people can use, especially for Final Fantasy XIV.
And when it's live stream, there's like no way you can stop everybody and say, "Hey, stop! I'm going to restart everything." So you have to come up with plans to do it. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you just figure out a way that, you know, that's best for the community. And if the community is happy with what they got at the end, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So.
No. I mean, it's not very, for people who might be confused, it's not very easy to always predict everything that could happen at venues you're not familiar with, right?
Yep.
And so, like, right now, this is a place you've been, even now, there's chances for difficulties and everything, but when you go on location somewhere, it can be kind of scary. And so I have to apologize you for that, because I don't want to be in that situation.
Even like in those places, like we do tests beforehand, but we can't do tests in, say, like specific rooms sometimes. So we have to do it outside of the room, and everything works over there. And we're like, cool, everything's working. Then once we move everything into the room, we're like, something happened. Why isn't this going on? You know, the audio's not going through. Why is the video's not going through?
Maybe one of the jacks is in a different router or something weird like that. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it's learning. It's a learning experience.
Yeah.
So.
All right. And there are, of course, more members on your team that aren't here today.
Sure.
Could you do me a quick favor and maybe say who they are and tell us just a little bit about them?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, of course, everything is not just done by us two. There's a whole other team who's actually working hard now while we're doing this. But yeah, we have a good-sized team. I'm sure that you've probably seen, if you're watching Duty Commence, you've seen 3 of our other staff members, 4 total probably. You probably saw Aya, Danielle, and Sam on our most recent show. If you were watching Duty Commence, they all 3 challenged Eden Savage.
Impressive, very impressive.
Yeah. It went really well, so that was good. And then Neha as well. She's also appeared on Duty Commence, and you've seen her on like the FRC, like the regional championships and the championships at Fan Festival. But yeah, in the future, I definitely want to have them join on something like this so that they can kind of explain their role or their day-to-day kind of stuff too. I don't want to speak too much for them, but yeah, we do have more staff who are working hard while we're having fun over here recording Frosty.
Yep.
I'm glad you're having fun at least, right?
Yeah,
that's
totally,
good,
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But we would like to have him on the show in the future.
Okay.
So I won't say too much about their day-to-day, but yeah, everybody's working really hard on 14. Everybody, again, just like us, is hardcore 14 players. We all really kind of take our work home with us in a good way. We enjoy the game, and we come in with that same passion. And each of the team members have different aspects that they focus on, but again, like I've said 100 times, apparently, we all wear a lot of different hats. So a lot of them are, it's like, oh, we'll have you work on this blog, or we'll have you work on this this contest that we're working on. But also, can you alt tab, and can you write some text for this lodestone announcement? And can you also,
Right.
it's everyone is really talented on our team, and I'm really thankful for that. That all of our staff is not only fans of the game, but also really good at their jobs, and they're really good at being able to do many different things that are asked of them. So that's always a huge positive. So hopefully I can have them on something like this in the future, so they can kind of talk with you.
Yeah, no, that would be great.
And I'm sure you'll see us at events too. So if you don't be shy, I mean, we're always
definitely.
we all hop in the bus and we drive cross country now. We all go out to our different events. Like I think we were all at PAX West recently. West was the last. PAX West and East.
Yeah.
West was our last one, and we were all there. So yeah, if you ever find us at one of the events, even fan festivals, things like that, you should always come say hi to us. We're here for you guys. So
obviously, and find a banner or something to stand in front of and start.
The line starts forming, and then,
forming.
as long as we have Sharpies, we're all good.
Yeah, it's funny. I go back to the first Fan Fest in 2014, and I remember getting in line for Starbucks, and I was just going to get a coffee, and then I can't remember the names of them, but it was one of the battle designers, I think. I can't remember exactly, but two of them came by, and I was like, "Oh, cool!" I'll put my hand up, got a high five from them, and then they just stepped behind me and got in line with me to get Starbucks.
And you're just like,
so I'm like, what do I do? And the reason I remember that is because I was like, okay, I should get them to sign stuff. And then they got out this little paint Sharpie crazy thing, shook it up, and signed. They were ready to go.
Yeah, we are well trained on making sure our devs have their very specific types of Sharpies and pens that they like to use. So we make sure that they're well stocked up for no matter what happens.
Yeah. Well, good job on that. I appreciate it that day for sure. But okay, so we're kind of getting close to the end of this, and there's a few more questions I'd like to ask you. One, I'm just going to straight up say it. What do you got for the community? What can you tell us? What secrets can you give out? What reveals will we have today? What's the hot scoops?
Secrets?
Hot scoops.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to wear Subligar at work. I was banned from wearing it.
Wait, you came in once. Yeah, that would be impressive.
I feel like we had to update our company dress code because of incidents.
Yeah. They're like, who's this guy on the security camera walking in briefs?
I'm sure that would have made it to the internet by now.
No.
Yeah.
But no, hot scoop. I would tell you a hot scoop, but we're contractually obligated not to say anything when we're so close to a letter live, producer letter live. Yoshida likes to keep some of the stuff for himself. So we let him, we'll okay, Yoshida-san, if you want to announce some stuff, fine. We won't announce it. So unfortunately, since we're getting close to a live letter, we contractually cannot say anything.
That's fine. Hopefully, I remember last time we asked this way back in the day, and it turned into a conversation about ice cream. I can't remember why, if you guys actually had ice cream in the office or something.
Scoops, hot scoops. I don't remember. So long ago that the term hot scoops came about. I don't remember why.
Was that before my time?
I think it was before your time.
Yeah.
And when you've been here for 14 years, the years really blur together, and events really blur together. So sometimes it's hard for me to remember which fan festival we had certain things sometimes. Mm-hmm. It might also just be me getting old. I think that's also part of it. But
I feel it, man. Okay. Well, I'll let it go. Since under contract, you can't.
Sorry.
That's all right. Next time I'll do it after the live letter, and then maybe.
See, yeah, that would have been way better.
Yeah. All right. So a lot of people would love to work at Square Enix. I think they might even be slightly inspired today to try and pursue something like that in any capacity. Could you maybe go over a little bit about how you guys got started and what it's like to join Square Enix?
For me, I was a Square Enix fanboy since I was like really small. Like I started playing Square games, Square titles when it started coming out because my uncle and my dad used to play a lot of video games. So I was lucky on that end where I could play games. And my first game that I beat, the first RPG I beat was Final Fantasy III, the Japanese one. And when I beat that, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like the story is cool. And me and my brother, we used to like come up with like our own RPGs. We used to make card game, like board games based on Final Fantasy, and we're doing secret caves and stuff like that. Like we're gonna be in this crystal cave, doing kid stuff.
Right.
But from there, we grew up, and we're like, I wanted to make games, so I started playing. There is this Super Famicom game called RPG Maker.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I used to make 8-bit characters with my brother, and I used to do the stories, and we used to do a lot of that. And then we moved to Hawaii for family reasons. So I lost all my opportunity to become a game pro. Like in my head, I was like, if I have to be in Japan to work for Square Enix. So I was like, I'm in Hawaii. I'm not gonna be able to do this. Then later on, a few years later, I found out Square Enix is in Hawaii. So like, oh my God, there's an office here in Hawaii. So I graduated high school. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try out, and there's nothing on my resume. I graduated high school, so they're like, of course they're not gonna hire me. So I'm like, okay, I have no college degree. I have no education, no programming skills, except for doing some HTML, basic stuff. And they're like, okay, might as well. I'm not good with English. I'm not good with Japanese because I grew up in both regions and I'm not 100% on both. I'm like, I'll just join the military. And I'm like, okay, if I'm going to join the military, why not do something crazy that Japanese game developers can never do? So I became a howitzer cannoneer where I shoot cannons. And on top of that, I was like, that's still boring. It's just shooting cannons. So I'm like, I want to become an advanced team where I put on night vision goggles, run through the night, early morning, setting up communication lines and stuff like that.
It's really funny, like you're saying all this stuff, and like you can see like community stuff like in there, like communication and all that.
It's all in there. Then I wanted to brush up right after military. I wanted to brush up on language skills. I joined. It was Hawaii, so there's a lot of tourism. So I joined the Japanese tourist company where I learned to speak Japanese and English at the same time and grow my skills there. And as a side job, I used to do graphic designing to make like posters and signs for restaurants and stuff. And it all built up. Then after 1.0 came out, I was like, this is really, really cool. Then I saw what happened to the game, and I'm like, oh my God, this is not what I want Square Enix to be, like in the position. Then that's when Yoshida made that long post. I don't know if you're a 1.0 player, you might have seen a long post by Yoshida where he took over the Realm Reborn project. And that's when I was like, as a fan gamer, I was like, I want to help the team as much as possible I can. So even though I didn't know Matt and I didn't have any permission from Square Enix, I saw their dev tracker posts every morning when I went to work, and I used to translate those nonstop. I'm pretty sure you didn't like that. Oh, yeah. But yeah, I made sure I put a disclaimer on them. I was like, please make sure, wait for the official translations because my translations could be wrong. But
I have good memories, man.
Good memories.
And thanks to the fans, I'm here now. Yeah. All those translations helped out.
That's awesome, man.
Oh, geez.
Matt, you got to follow it up again.
It was a dark and stormy night when I was born.
Okay.
I don't know how to follow it up. No. So I joined Square Electronic Arts LLC. I think is when I joined. We were called that. I started in 2001. So just out of high school, I joined on to be a QA tester for Final Fantasy X. So that was like, as a Square fanboy like Tony, that was like a dream come true. They're like, oh yeah, you get to be paid to test and QA this game that looks amazing. Like, you know, FF10 when it was coming out was like,
Yeah.
no one was making games like Square, you know, like on PS2 games. It's like, it's ridiculous.
Right.
So yeah, I worked on that, and I just kept kind of working on other titles like Kingdom Hearts and QA, and then I kind of started going through the ranks of QA and became like a lead QA tester. And then I joined onto the 11 project for a few years. So I worked really closely with our, you know, counterparts in Japan, and kind of understanding how, because, you know, MMOs, you know, that was like the beginning, you know, that was the early days. So, you know, FF11 on, you know, PS2 and PC, and being cross-platform, and, you know, the servers were all shared by everybody. You know, that was all brand new stuff. So working on in QA, I was playing it hardcore every day too, you know, back then when I was like,
you had to,
like, to an alarming degree, I'll say.
Okay.
But I loved it. You know, I loved the game, and it's like I would go to work and I would work on the game. But then I saw like that's when the community team was kind of looking for people, and they were really trying to grow the project, you know, for FF11. So I moved over to the community team, I think 2005, I think, like I mentioned. I think it was like just before planning for the first fan festival began. So I think it was 2005.
Yeah. Okay.
And I remember when I joined the community team, like the next, I think I joined like on a Wednesday or something, and like Friday we were flying to an event we had to set up and work. So it was like trial by fire, like right into it.
Yeah.
So, but it's been fun. I mean, you know, over the years, I just kind of worked on 11, and then we launched, you know, Final Fantasy 14 1.0. Things happened, and then, you know, we just kind of kept going from there. It's been a really fun journey. I've been here a long time, but honestly, it doesn't feel like it. That's why I always joke, like, it's hard for me to remember what happened at any certain year or which event, because it kind of, there's never been like a standout like bad thing or, you know, really negative thing that's happened. It's always been kind of really positive stuff, and you just have good memories of all the time that I've worked here. I know it probably sounds really cheesy, but I wouldn't have been here since 2001 if I didn't love my job and, you know, love what I do. So it's been a pleasure just being here and leading the team now after these years, like, and just kind of making sure we're all kind of doing the best we can for our players. I think that's what's like the best part about this job, and that's what I love. Like, you know, being able to share the love of 14 with other people is really cool. Like, I get my friends playing. My friends have been playing for years. You know, we meet up at night. We finish our day jobs, and we all meet up in Eorzea or the First, and we have adventures. You know, it's you know, we've been doing it for so many years, but we don't really see it stopping anytime soon. So it's really fun. It's so weird to go from like a super big Square fanboy like Tony, and then you're working there for 17 plus years. You know, it's very surreal, but it's a big pleasure. So
So if anyone wanted to join now, what would your recommendation for them be?
I would say just keep your eye out. I mean, like I said, we've been growing the team. We've been hiring, not even only just on my team here in North America, but Europe, they're hiring people too. Japan, if any of you live in Japan too, they're often hiring in the community and service team in Japan. It's like, I would just keep your eyes out. Honestly, I think just keeping your eyes out, looking for opening positions, being passionate is also a major part of it. A lot of, you know, what we look for in the community team is not just like, oh, cutting edge of like the best social media. You know, I got so many social medias. Whoa. You know, it's not like that. It's like, you know, being passionate about, you know, 14 and really understanding the project and understanding the game is like a huge plus. It's so hard to find, you know, in other jobs that, you know, you work at like a fashion design company, you need to know fashion. And so knowing 14 is such a huge thing. So honestly, it's just a matter of waiting to see when we're going to be hiring or when we're looking for people, and then just applying. I think we weigh very heavily people who are big 14 players and big 14 fans whenever we're looking to hire people. So just keep your ears open, I guess. Your eyes open, ears open.
You gotta have your ears open too.
Yeah.
So I mean, it
eyes open.
Yeah.
Ears to the ground. And all these phrases.
Ears to the ground. Yeah, that's
there you go.
Yeah. All right. So I'll ask one more question here. I figured this is a good time just to, if you would like to just kind of say something to the Final Fantasy XIV community, to people who are watching the show, what's the one thing you'd like to end off with? And I guess I'll start with you, Tony, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah, sure. Like, for me, once again, it's like, thanks to everybody, all the community. I'm here now. So I can't thank enough. You know, you guys made it happen. It was my dream job, and I'm working here every day. And yeah, I'm just thankful for everybody.
Okay. Yeah.
So wholesome, man.
Yeah, very, definitely.
Jeez.
All right, Matt.
Why do I have to follow up? Next time,
I'll go the other way next time. I'll go the other way.
Yeah, man. Thanks for your support. No, but I mean, seriously, everyone here loves 14. Everybody here loves the community. That's why we do what we do. You know, there's hard days, there's good days, there's bad days, but thick and thin, we're here because the players are passionate and they are enjoying 14, and we're here to support that in any way we can. I think that, I hope it's very apparent that what we do is always, you know, for the community, and we're always working really hard for you guys out there. You know, whether it be events or, you know, contests or our memes on social media. You know, we're doing this because we appreciate all of you, and it's seeing the passion in the community is really inspiring to us. And being able to meet everyone at events and talk to people face to face is amazing. So I know it sounds corny, but yeah, thank you very much for, you know, playing 14 and having a good time. We're here for you guys, and we'll keep working really hard. Everyone here, not just community team, marketing, PR, sales, you know, GM, support center. We're all here doing everything we can every day to make sure that everyone playing 14 is having a good time. So thanks for the opportunity to keep doing what we're doing. I mean, we're here for you guys, so.
All right. Well, with that, I think that's a good point to end off today. I do want to personally thank you guys both for coming on the show. It means a lot to me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
I mean,
thank you.
It's a good opportunity for us to, you know, have a chance to talk to people and not just have to wait for events, you know, not just have to hopefully see people face to face, but to have a chance like to talk through your show is really awesome. So we appreciate it.
Of course. And it's been a pleasure. And I do want to say thank you, everybody who's watching the show today. I hope this gave you a little bit of insight into the North American community team. I feel like I need to call up the EU guys as well and see if we can get them on too.
Yeah, you're probably going to have to, wow, what time would it have to be for you?
It'd probably be sometime in the morning, yeah.
I think around now is like
11
p.m. for them. So maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe pretty late. Maybe like
good luck.
12. Yeah,
good luck.
We'll figure it out. But that being said, thank you guys, everybody, again. Thank you, everyone who helps make the show happen. And until next time, remember to be good to each other. Of course, keep cool and stay frosty.
Hey.
Bye.